Guys, it's been a long day already. It's only 2 o'clock, 2:22, and it's been a long day. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Seed Podcast. I'm your host, Ol'edo. You know what it is. Welcome, welcome. How's everybody's week going so far? We're in a new location today, as usual. Today, we are in one of my favorite people. One of my favorite peoples. We're in her room. We're shooting this podcast. I just felt like it was the next location. I think I was talking to Baba about it. And I just felt like, yeah, this was where we need to shoot it. Definitely not coincidentally. Today's episode is kind of centered around friendship. So we're just going to go where the wind takes us because I honestly don't know exactly what we're going to be talking about, but I know we're going to be talking about friendship. And like friendships in your 20s and like the transition and kind of just what it looks like, really just yapping. I remember I saw a comment from someone on my Spotify and it was just so sweet. Shout out to everyone who comments, who interacts. It means the world to me. Who listens, who watches, whatever. Just so you know, I really, really, really appreciate it. I really do. Last week was actually a very interesting week. My period was late. Life was just, it felt very bombarding. Me and Baba had a little bit of a tussle. I think I say that in every episode. Please, we're not always tussling, but I think I was refusing to rest when I should have been resting because I just felt like I need to be putting out more. Like I'm not consistent enough. Like I just started like doing the thing that people do specifically for sons of God or for kids, people who are God's kids. Is like we forget that like he's the one that gives us the power to do things that we do anyway. And so I had like a really eventful week the week before. Did something really, really, really fun that I'm very excited about. Can't wait for you guys to see it. Something that was on my list for one of the things I wanted to knock off and like really do this year. Like I want to get into acting. I'm just going to say that. That's all you're going to get. I really wanted to do that. I've always wanted to act. And then at one point I was like, maybe I just want to do everything. I need to calm down. And then I was like, actually, why should I calm down? I'm in my 20s. I don't got no kids. Like this is the time for me to do all the things I would love to do and see how far they go. So basically did something fun and very eventful. It was a hard work week. And I was like, I really like the feel of the hardness, right? It made me feel useful. So then the week after, I'm doing nothing. Mind you, before I went on this trip, I wasn't feeling that great, right? So should I not just come back and just rest, recuperate, really figure it out, like get back into routine? No. I was like, I need to do something. I need to move. I need to do something. And Baba, like in the cartoons where there's like the tiny little mouse or the tiny little creature, and then the bigger creature puts its hand, like its finger on the head of the creature, and the creature's trying to run. That's how it felt. But I didn't realize that his hand was on my head. I just thought that I had creator's block or something. So yeah, but we settled that. I'm resting now. Our conversations are sweet. They flow. It's my dad and I. Like, listen, you guys don't need to worry about him. He knows what he signed up for and he's okay. Okay? He's okay. But yeah, so bit of an interesting week. Still fun though. Still very eventful. Had a lovely time. I got to have loads of heart-to-hearts with people that I really like. That was fun. And then on Saturday, my friend had his listening party. He just released his first EP. Super excited for him. Got to listen to all the songs. It was so good. I love creatives. I love creatives chasing their dreams. I love the atmosphere of it. I love it. Everybody was so lovely. I got to meet some new people. Great, 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 great. And I won a CD. Do I have a CD player? No. Will I try to get one? Of course. Like basically he handed out these like sticky notes and like and pens, and basically we had to answer questions. I wrote my little notes and we had to like give them up, like submit them at the end of the event. I didn't realize that there were any prizes to be won, but he comes up to me and he's like, yo, like I know your handwriting and I really liked your answers. There were a couple of people that were chosen as well, but I happen to be one of them. And I'm just a very happy girl. A very, very happy girl. Like this just means the world to me. I want to like hang it on the wall. But yeah, I Was Here by YKD, right? Go listen to it. It came out on Monday, the 4th of August. It's there. Listen, the vocals are crazy. I genuinely believe that the more in tune with their emotions men are, the better art that they make. And you can see that in this project. He's got a beautiful heart. It's very obvious. So yeah, guys, go listen. And I just wanted to come and brag that it's me that they gave CD. I just wanted to brag. Thanks. Speaking of friendships, yeah, support is a great thing that they offer. I love it. I love that I get to support my friends. I love that I get to cheer them on. I love that one day they're going to be so like rich and like I'm not going to have to like pay any kind of bill. I love that for me. And I love that I'm going to get to do that for them as well, right? I love that like we're all growing together, and it's lovely to see people in their starting stages and like get to steward that. I think I was talking to Baba the other day about how like friendships come with a lot of responsibility, but I like the responsibility. I like that I get to steward the soft parts of people that I know, that I get to like just walk with them through life. I don't know what it is. I think I just enjoy it. Yeah. I enjoy that I need people, that I have to lean on people. I think that's very new. That was not true a couple months ago. That was not true a couple months ago. That was not true a couple months ago. And I think there's still people that I don't enjoy leaning on. But in general, I think I like the concept now. That's by the way anyway. But first of all, I'd say when I met Baba, I had just moved to a new country. All my friends that I had were in different places. So the only connection we had was like over the phone. And as much as like that can be enough for what it is, I felt very alone. I'm not alone in like a bad way. I had just met the Lord. And so it was very much giving honeymoon stages. It was just us for the most part. I went to work. I came back. I didn't know anyone here. It was also COVID. So it was just us. And it was great. Like I really got to spend time with him. And in spending time with him, I feel like he made me a better person, but I feel like he made me a better friend. Obviously being his friend, you know what I'm saying? I think I don't know what people think it looks like to be the friend of the Lord, but it really is quite similar to what friendship is, human to human, and in the sense of responsibility and how much you have to give. It's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that his body is your body. You guys are not like as separated as you and another human would be. There's a lot more stuff that's touching spirits, minds consistently. Yeah, that's about it. But it's very much a choice. And I feel like there's a couple scriptures that when I was thinking about today's episode, like kept popping up in my head. I'm just gonna say them, and then however I remember them throughout the episode, like we'll talk about it. But I think the first one was, you shall love the Lord your God, Exodus. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your strength, all your might. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And I remember a couple months back, there was a lot happening in my life, and the Lord was showing me how he doesn't mention it. It's not mentioned, but the call to love your neighbor as yourself is an indirect call to love yourself. But in order to love yourself, you have to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your. It's like they connect each other, and it excludes self. Now that is the nature of self. It doesn't exclude me, Ol'edo, but it excludes the need to center it around myself. So it's not centered around me. But the truth of the matter is that if everybody is loving the Lord their God with all their heart, all their strength, finding out who they are, falling in love with themselves, and now seeing the value of human life and placing that value on everybody that they end up meeting, we all end up eating. The table, like there's so much to share, if that makes sense. I think, yeah. Loving the Lord your God, it teaches you to really love yourself because you start to see yourself how he sees you. And for Baba, this is not like I'm so glad, like it's not like I don't know how to explain it. He's not a keeper of slaves, if that makes sense. It's like he has no interest in raising a child that is afraid of him. Yes, the Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but I think it's talking about reverence, like the weight that you ascribe to his character, the weight that you ascribe to his person, not fear like torment, not like that. Because why would I be afraid of my mirror? Why would I be afraid of the person that I'm supposed to look the most like, that I'm trying to become? Why would I be afraid of him? I guess there are many reasons. One being that like I'm afraid I'll never meet up. I'm afraid that I'm gonna fail. Da da da. But like, I mean, why would I be afraid of him? Right, his person. Yeah, that's just by the way. But I felt like I had to say that, like, being around him consistently taught me to be a good friend, because I learned to be selfless. I learned to be concerned. I learned to be compassionate, because I think you have to actually practice compassion. As much as we like to think that, like, we're good people or whatever, it's the things that we train ourselves to become that we become, you know? That's why good parenting will never, ever, ever be something that is taken lightly, because everybody comes into this world like as they came, just raw and full of the nature of sin. Somebody's gonna have to do that work. Somebody. And so, if you end up, being in a space that teaches you, like trains you to be a good enough person, meeting the Lord just like accelerates that. You know what I'm saying? And if it's positive or negative situations that just teach you to be better, again, the Lord touches that acceleration. You know what I mean? You can be a good enough person, especially in action, right? But in heart, in motive, in thought, like, that's a bigger like fish to fry. And I feel like frying that fish, it looks like constantly having to like take control of your mind, take all the thoughts and all the ideas that come into that mind, and like submit them to Christ. And I feel like sometimes when we hear these things, it's so religious, and it's unfortunate because there's never any explanation. So I'm going to give a little one. It's like, let's say I have a baddish, wrongish thought about a friend or about myself. I say, does the Lord feel this way about this? I question the thought. And this is the thing. You're not always going to have to say, I bring this thought. You and the Lord share a mind, right? That's the hope. That's the ideal thing. If you have a relationship with him, you guys share a mind, right? You have a conscience. When you hear something that's not matching, you are like the officer over this jurisdiction. You're like, I won't take that. Get out. And then you replace it. Pretty much. And then with time, it kind of gets automated. You don't have to like actively say it out loud or really think through the process. The more that you do it, the more that it becomes automated. Another thing I was going to mention, I saw a comment the other day. They were like, if you're such an overthinker, why don't you just overthink on positive things? And I was like, that's so crazy, because I remember when I first started with Baba, I was a chronic overthinker, and the thoughts were always negative. They always led to a very deep, dark hole. And I didn't like my mind. I never felt safe. I liked noise, because outside noise helped to just like, I guess, cushion the consistent like echoes of just darkness, right? And it wasn't always dark, but it was a lot of the time dark. So I remember one day I was like, it's obvious that because over time I've nursed these thoughts consistently. I don't know why I did that, but listen, I didn't have information back then. I nursed these thoughts. How about I just start nursing things that I like? So I started doing that. I would spend time just like creating imaginations about me, spending time with my father. So my physical dad, like when we lived in the same house, I would always go and sit on the arm of his chair, and I would be playing with his head. He has hair, but it's not that long, so I can't really say I was playing with his hair, but I'll play with his head. As a black man with 4C hair, the stub kind of feels like an exfoliant. So I would rub my hands in circular motion on his head, and he'd just be on his laptop doing whatever he was doing. And that's just how we existed. I would rake my hands through his beard. I would play with his mustache. Uncle never complained. He never did. So I just thought, why don't I do that for Baba as well? So I would imagine myself raking my hands through his hair, playing with it, like just forcing him to do things that otherwise he wouldn't care to do. But listen, now I'm your daughter. That's your responsibility. You made this choice, right? So I do stuff like that. I think about stuff like that. I would read parts of scripture and imagine the pictures and chew on them. I would think about positive things. I think about myself going shopping, like just filling my mind with things that just were nice. Above, right? Rather than things below. Place your mind, right, on things above. That's what the Bible says. So I practiced that for a long time, and I can tell you right now, I love my mind. I'm so much in control that it's beautiful. And more than me being in control, Baba's in control, because that's his throne. You don't get to just walk in and out anyhow you like. And there was a time that it was very difficult, and he allowed it to be difficult so that I could gain capacity. It's like, let's say I'm training to lift like 28 kg and Baba makes it 50 kg just so that I'm extra perfect. That's kind of what he does. I feel like we'll talk about that in a different episode, but that's another conversation we've been having. But yeah, so he just makes it a little harder so that when all of the training is finished, you're just much better than you need to do, exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ever ask or think. So how did I get here again? I don't know. But yeah, I think he taught me to be a good friend, because we actually had to practice friendship. There was one time I remember specifically, we had been like having loads of assignments. So he was asking me to do a lot of things and I'd been doing them. And so all of a sudden he just stops and I'm like, you don't like me anymore. Obviously, because I thought he was human and that he was some sort of love bomb or something, or that I just thought that he abandoned me. So I'm like, oh, you hate me. Oh, I've done something wrong. That's why Baba doesn't need me anymore. That's why he's not using me. That's why he's not sending me on assignments. What is happening? And then one day he said to me, he said, babe, when you lived with your parents, right? Is it every day that you guys were doing something really heartfelt and cathartic and serious? I said, no, not even. And he was like, some days, all they ask you to do is pass the remote. Some days, all I want to do with you is ask you to pass the remote. We can actually just coexist. Like, I actually like you. Like, I love you. And I have loved you more than life itself for as long as I've existed. But I also just don't mind, like, being. In him we live and move and have our being. So it's like resting state. And I was like, damn. And I'm sure, like, loads of his kids, like, they don't even, like, he's not a person except he's like this big, extravagant God. So when he said that to me, I was like, you know what? I'm done with that. You are allowed to just be. I'm saying this to Baba. You are allowed to just be yourself. Just be Baba. Yes, you're a king and you're the most magnificent one. Yes, you're Lord. Yes, you're powerful. Yes, you are the ruler of the universe. But here, you can be just my dad. We can just talk. We can just talk about anything. And so when I'd be watching stuff, I'd be like, Baba, how do you feel about that? I hated that scene. I did da. And he'd be responding and we'd be going back and forth. And he'd be like, you see how this ties back to, obviously, because he has to talk to me about Jesus all the time. So we're always finding ways to find Jesus and stuff. It's like a Where's Waldo type of situation. I love it for me. Tangled, Mulan, Jujutsu Kaisen, this anime I watched recently, Level something level. Oh, I hate that I can't remember. That's the one I've watched most recently. I haven't gone back to see their new episodes actually. Level, can't remember, but that one where the main character was born as a level, was he an E rank? And then he went up. He's not even an S rank. He's just a rank. We don't know his rank, but his rank can keep climbing. And he's not like a typical one. And I feel like that's me. Anyways, that's not the point. But yeah, that anime, yeah, that showed me a lot about. But that's not the point. Yeah, so I learned friendship from him. I learned that like absorbing people is just fine. Like they don't have to be more than anything. They just have to be themselves. Now, yes, so me and him, we were together. And then eventually I got introduced to my first group of friends. I had the best time. All of them were creatives. Some of us are still like, I'm still friends with them now. I was just saying like, we got introduced. That was a couple months after me and Baba had been together. I remember I was watching this video of Apostle Joshua Selman and he was saying how friendship is not like, people think that friendship is, I don't know what they think it is, but they think it's like simple stuff. It's I could die for you. And I remember hearing that and being like, eh. But then I was like, And then he started to explain and it's like people that you support, that you love with your whole entire heart. And then the scripture that comes to mind is there's no greater love than for a man to lay his life down for his friend. His friend. Why didn't Baba say his brother, his family? Why didn't he say his bride? He said his friend, right? And something that I was meditating on is how like friendship, out of a lot of relationships, is a choice. It's probably the first relationship where you have to make a choice. Before we talk about marriage or like boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever, friendship exists, I feel, in every relationship dynamic. Friendship exists, but also it's the first relationship where you have to make a choice. You're not joined to them. And even if you are joined to them, you still have to make that choice. I was just thinking about that, and it made sense. Like, as much as like Baba chose to do this, to die on the cross, and to give himself for us, to give his son and all that, he also wants to be chosen, right? And so it's like, to lay his life down for his friend. To him, there is a possibility for friendship with us. We just have to also want to be his friends as well. And I think about that because, like, even when I think about my friendships, my mom and my dad are my friends. Like, yes, they started out as my parents, but now where I am, I've chosen them as friends. My brother and my sister, I've chosen them as friends. My friends, I've chosen them as friends. And so it's like, it's a choice. And I think the power of choice, I think it makes a difference. Sometimes you're born into something and you have to do it because you've been told you have to do it. But the things that you choose, you often don't abandon or do passively because it's a choice. You were awake and aware when you made the decision. So I feel like that's the weight that it carries. And yeah, so like when I think about my friendships now, like they've grown so much. Something else I was thinking about was how I went to boarding school. I haven't talked about it much, but I hated my experience. Yeah, pretty much. And every time I deep dive a little more, I journal, I'm like, yeah, I like some of the people that I met. They made it easier to get through it. I barely remember. When I tell you, I barely remember being there. There are only some moments that I can like say, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But for the most part, I don't even remember. It's like a part of my life that I can't even like, it just doesn't exist really. Sha, the friendships I made there, I made them for survival. Some of them I'm grateful that I still have, but I needed to survive. One, two, there's a lot of competition. You're growing up, puberty like mad, right? Everybody around me was growing boobs, like seriously, not little by little in installments. They were growing it as if they were rubbing fertilizer on your chest. I, on the other hand, still have the set that I walked into puberty with. Now, listen, I'm so grateful to Baba for that because I don't know why I was praying so frantically. I'm so grateful he didn't respond to my prayers because I don't know how I'd have done it. I personally, more power to every single woman, more grace to every single one of Jesus's daughters that he has chosen to give ample chest. It couldn't be me. It just couldn't. It couldn't. It couldn't. It couldn't. That's where I'm going to leave that. But anyways, my relationship with female friendships was not great. I thought that everything was about competition. I thought everything was about men, first of all, because that was where we were competing most of all, I'd say. And I think a lot of it was unspoken, and it just kind of happens. And I think it's unfortunate, but it kind of happens. It's either you go the route of really needing it or you just don't give a shit at all. I think I really needed it at one point. I didn't show it though because I thought it was quite shameful. I thought it was embarrassing, to be honest, because like, hey man, that's where you start to realize that like there's so many things that are so messed up. You really have to rearrange, reprioritize. Obviously, I didn't know myself. I don't even think I was a person at that time, but there was all of that. So I think in like June of 2023, my friend, one of my greatest loves, she had a birthday staycation, and that was the first like celebration we had. It was just girls. We had gone to Clare in Ireland, beautiful location. It was just us girls, and I remember that was one of the best trips I have ever been on in my life. And I said, oh my God, there's not one man here, and I love it. And please hear me, please. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't. But I felt it. I thought it. The thoughts, they ran through my mind. I would never show it. God forbid, because again, shameful, right? But I thought about it. And so on that trip, I was saying to the girls, I was like, there's not one man here. And I love my experience. I think the issue was that the women that I was around didn't also really care to be around women. So, or the girls, please. The fees, the little baby girls didn't care to be around women or other girls. So it just was not fun. But oh my God. Since that time, my life has changed so much in regard to my friendships. I feel like the women in my life Every day I thank God for them. They remind me of my mother, and that is a great thing. My mother is an incredible woman. And a lot of them, there are things that they have. I'm just like, yeah, like the values we align. And that is just something that is so important. I feel like I don't know why there are things or people or places or situations that are in your life that don't align with your values that you're keeping, especially if you have the choice to remove them. There's actually no point. Yeah, there's no point. I've never been the kind of person to be like, oh, I've my childhood friends. I have childhood friends, some that I'm still friends with. And I see people who have those types of relationships. My hope is always, I hope you haven't kept this person around for the sake of longevity. I hope there's health there. I hope you're happy to have them. I hope they add to your life, because what is actually the point? As my friendships have grown, I have gone to see so much of the word of God in them as well. I remember I was speaking to my mom one day, and she was saying how, like in the multitude of great counsel, there is safety. And I started calling my friends the council, because that's how they move. We're strict. We're strict, though, but there's a lot of beautiful madness. I love it. Everybody has a little bit of square, and it just works. Like, it's like we're all kids, right? We're all kids, and I love it. Like, we have the most fun. We do the most outrageous things just to hang out together. Last year, and I don't know how they're going to feel about me saying this, but I'm going to say it regardless. We had a period party. Just the girls. We all wore white and red just to celebrate periods and to celebrate the fact that all of us escaped teenage pregnancy. It was wonderful. And we had lasagna, and they were so mad at me because I kept talking about how lasagna looks like the lining, the utero lining that we shed, and the muci or mucosa or whatever, and the blood. Like, they were not happy about that, but that's what I saw. It looked like it. And we had like red punch with strawberries and stuff like that. It was so much fun. We do stuff like that frequently. We need to plan something quickly. But yeah, just beautiful places, soft places to land, but also hard places for correction. That's another thing. When I say we're strict, I mean it. We don't do foolishness here. You can't be foolish and we'll just allow you to be walking. No. And this exists in all my little orbs of light, in my little city. People, we don't do that. We correct. Not only do we love you too much, the Spirit of the Lord will not allow us to just keep moving. It's just not possible. We will have to say something. And it's just one of the most beautiful things. I think, as somebody, for me specifically, who's like, I guess, I don't know if I should say public figure. Whoa. As someone who's building a platform online and has to share things with people, and sometimes can be like coming from like a teaching aspect where I'm like telling people like, oh, this is how you do this or whatever, people like looking up to me. It's wonderful to have people that just see me for me. I think it's important, one, for humility, two, so that you can stay grounded, right? Stay wise, but also like, and it's not that they don't pour into me. The support that I get from my friends, from my mom and my dad, my siblings, like, sometimes I'm like, when people say stuff like, I had nobody, I feel so bad, because this is my rock bottom and I have everybody. And it's a beautiful sight to see. The love that I'm surrounded by consistently is just mind blowing, right? Mind blowing. And I didn't know it was possible, because at one point, me and Baba had been in this season of separation and I wasn't speaking to anyone. I was a ghost. And I remember thinking, Baba, like, no one's going to answer when I call because I'm a ghost. And then my birthday last year, he said, you have to do something. This is a big year for me. Baba said to me that year was a very big year for him and I had to do something. I said, okay. We had Ol'edo Olympics. So much fun. My friend gave me one of the ideas. We ran with it. I said, Baba, who's going to come? Who's going to come to the birthday? Who's going to come? People showed up. And the people that couldn't show up, they had reasons. And regardless, like, people traveled for my birthday. Like, I don't know that I've cried that much in a while. I cried while I was journaling. My friends that helped me, my babe, Grub Kitchen that cooked, my friend Kemi that like planned. Look, Janine, Ethel, my roommates. Like, I don't want to. The love that I felt that day, I can't quantify it. I can't. And the fact of the matter is that it wasn't reserved to my birthday. That's typical of them. It's typical. And that's what I say about loving. I love that I get to love people. I love that I get to steward the hearts, the soft places, the faults. I love that I get to do that. And the scripture that actually reminds me of that is the may the love of God be shed abroad in your heart. I can't remember the rest, but I always just see that part whenever I'm with my friends and I start to feel an overwhelming need to bite them, right? To bite them or just tell them like, I love being in this space with you. We could be doing nothing, which is typically what is happening. Food, nothing, and laughing and talking about ourselves, right? We could be doing nothing. And I just look into someone's eyes and I just want to just say to them, like, listen, this is a moment in eternity that's been captured in time. I love that I have this with you. But I can't say it because I don't want to come off a little, you know. And then one day I was like, Baba, this is becoming an issue. Everybody, I feel the need to just be like, I love you so much. What's happening? And he's like, you see, me and you share this body. And every time I see my kids, I'm overwhelmed. That's what he said to me. So I now have to feel the overwhelm of his overwhelm because he's so in love and I'm in love too. But it just makes it great for both of us. But sometimes it's difficult because I'm having to, you know, that meme. I'm having to like, you know, clench my fist so that somebody doesn't think that I'm going through a crisis. I love my friends. I don't even know if I've said anything in this podcast that is useful, but it's a beautiful thing. And 2024 is an interesting year. I had some difficult patches. One of my very greatest people in this life, Vanilla, we had to like walk through that place together. It was very difficult. I used to be very afraid of commitment in hard times because I didn't know that I had anything to offer. I didn't know what to offer, you know? And God showed me that, like, listen, just be. Sometimes people do not need anything else. I didn't really need anything else. I just needed to have a cheeky little laugh in a hard time, to have somebody to look for the funny stuff, to look for the stuff that's ridiculous, to make light of the situation, because like life be getting hard. Life gets hard. Life gets hard. There are all these little cushions. And I think what I want to say today to anybody is like, listen, wait for your people as you become a better person. There's nothing better than being around people that remind you of yourself in terms of health. I'm not talking about like people who like, I guess, enable bad character. Or I'm saying like in health, like, oh, I'm somebody that'll go the extra mile for my friends. I know that like, as much as there is no actual expectation, there is an expectation. I owe these people love. I owe them respect. I owe them trust. I owe them, you know, inconvenience. I owe them that. And I'm holding myself to that. In the same way that when I think about, I was listening to Myron Golden. I love that man. He's such a grandpa. I just love him and his beard. I'm listening to him yesterday. He's talking about the covenant that God made with Abraham. And he's saying how after Baba had said everything that he said, he basically puts Abraham in a deep sleep. The lamp goes through the little like aisle that they made. And basically he was explaining what a covenant is. A covenant is basically, it means to cut. And so when people would make covenants back in the day, they would slaughter animals, right? And they would walk around them in a circle, come back facing each other. And then they would cut, one person would cut their right hand, another person would cut their left. They'll join them together. They'd become covenant brothers. They'd become covenanted. They'd have to take on each other's names. And they would basically say, if I do not keep my covenant to you, as long as I'm alive, if something happens to your cattle, like if I'm not there for you, may what happened to this animal happen to me. And so basically what does Baba do? Baba, he cuts a covenant with Abraham, but Abraham is not really a part of the covenant. He gets Jesus, which is like the type and shadow of Jesus is like the lamp, to walk, you know, through the thingy that Abraham had made, like the animals that he had cut and all that kind of stuff. And so Baba's like, if I do not keep my covenant to you, may what happened to this animal happen to me. And then Jesus says, if Abraham doesn't keep his covenant, like basically Baba takes on the entire thing by himself. And I think that really showed me the depth. It's a choice. Nobody forced him. He made that choice. He keeps his covenants to us. He keeps his promises for himself, not for us. He does it because he wants to. It's not about like he has to. He wants to. It's something he wants to do. He wanted to do it, so he made it that he had to. Does that make sense? And so for me, like I feel like when I think about my friendships, because I was thinking about the other day, I actually like I'm not obligated, but I want to. The person that I am desires that I will be accountable to my friends, accountable to my parents, my siblings. Like, I want community. I've heard a lot of conversations talking about how like the price for community is inconvenience. 100%. It's a lot of hard work sometimes, but I think it's hard work that I love. I think sometimes we stray from hard things because we do not want to like invest. I don't know if it's that way. I'm lazy. I don't know what it is, but there's always something. But I think if you're someone that desires love and love that just cannot be exhausted, like every day, like what the heck is happening? Like why am I so why am I so surrounded? Just be a person who people will talk about like that as well. Genuinely. Baba deserves all the praise and all the glory and all the love that I have to give because he is worthy of it. Worthy, worthy, worthy. And every day, you know, the more that I spend time with him and he sheds his light on me and he does the same thing for all of us, I feel like we become worthy of that love. Not because we started off worthy, but because he made it so. I don't know. I'm just talking. Yeah, I'm really just speaking. But yeah, I really just wanted to talk about friendship and talk about the beauty of it. And I remember it was last year. There's a scripture. I think it's either in Zechariah or in the Psalms. I know. It's one of them. And it talks about how the Lord has built a city without actual walls, but walls of fire. And basically, he says that walls of fires are surrounded, like round about it, and glory comes out from within it. The picture he gave me was that the reason that the city is without walls is because that is a representation of vulnerability. The fire is a representation of love and the corrosive nature of love. The Lord is still expounding that on, like I'm still trying to figure out everything that he's teaching me in terms of the nature of love being corrosive. I'm still trying to learn it. How much it can consume you, right? We're still going there. But it's like, so the walls are fire, and the walls are the people that I have in my life, my family, my friends. And the glory that is coming out of within it is the constant pouring in that we do with one another, with our relationships. That is the glory. It's like the kabod, like the experience of the beauty, of the consistency of our outpouring of love to one another, of our dependency on one another when it's necessary, our words of love, our prayers, our intercession, our care, our inconvenience. That is the glory. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Another thing I really need to mention, there is so much romance in platonic relationships, and I think we miss them because we leave them all for the romantic. And I don't know why we do that. I feel like that's also what draws us to desperation. That's why you are 69, you need love. All of us want love. And I don't think that the desire ever dies, but I think sometimes wait for the thing that's worth it. Wait till you actually your mind has developed enough to even steward it, right? But like for me, I was just saying, me and my friends were talking one of these days, and I was just saying how there's so much romance that exists in platonic love, and I feel like we have reduced romance to lust and promiscuity and fornication, but it means more than that. It's a dance. There's music to it. There's rhythm, you know? And I think the more that we really like relish in building and enjoying the relationships that we have, we end up with beautiful romantic relationships, right? Because we're growing every day. We're learning how to be around people. We're learning to interact. We're learning to be patient. We're learning to love. We're seeing Jesus. Not only will the romantic be better, like the inherently, like the inherently romantic relationship be better, but life in general. Because another thing I was saying to my friend, I don't know which one, but I've said it to a lot of them, so I don't know, just to my friend. How is it that people get married, right? Because it's something that I've seen a lot, and they just disappear. I believe that those friends that you thought you had, they were placeholders, one. And you really didn't have anything deep, because I think about it. If I should marry now, will I just abandon my entire city? Definitely not. Maybe for a couple months. I'll come back. Don't worry. You see me once, maybe for a couple months, I'll disappear. But entirely? Whoa, that's crazy. Especially when we're talking like concrete, proper human beings, like solid humans. Another thing that me and Bob were talking about was how it's so crazy that a lot of people in the generations before us, They really didn't understand friendship, because how is it that this never happened with me though, but it's an experience I heard a lot. You go to somebody's house, you can't eat. The only reason that I would take my children to somebody's house and tell them that they cannot eat is that that specific auntie is a bad cook. That specific uncle is a bad cook. Eat at your own. I'm telling you now, they can't cook. That's the only reason. But if you're telling me that you are afraid that, oh, they've put something in the food, spiritually, physically, you've already done a bad job of protecting your child, because why are they in the house? What if they put charm on the chair? What if they wave their hand over the child's face and it's finished? That destiny is gone. You don't know. Like, it's so interesting how human beings try to protect the physical but don't understand that the mental, the soul, the spirit, that is where protection comes from first. Why the heck are you taking them to somebody's house that they can't eat in? Why do you even have that connection still? What is even the point of that connection? I would much rather be a loner. Alone in this world, if those were the only options that I had. And I was saying how I feel like a lot of people, they just naturalize with the relationships that they have. They don't care to build more. They become comfortable. And I guess in some way they are benefiting because they don't have to do any more work. Nobody's expecting anything from anyone. Everybody knows that, oh, they might have something out for you, but listen, we're managing. That's the village. You know what I'm saying? I just don't get it. There is no protection. Yes, there may be self-preservation in terms of like not having to be vulnerable. No one has to really see who you are, but you are constantly living in jeopardy, constantly. Whereas with vulnerability, as scary and jarring as it can be sometimes, you build strength by holding on to less. And something I was talking to Bob about this morning, we've had this conversation for ages now, but in regard to this, it's like there's so much about your life that you have no control over. You can't even see the back of your head. And so I don't even know how we think that in any kind of way that we can have control. And so we try to hold on to the things that we can hold on to. But what happens is then we fixate all of our energy on doing that when we are actually actively incapable of doing that. We don't release. And so everything is just subpar. All the experiences we have are subpar because we're constantly like holding on to something. Friendship and relationship has also taught me that like you can't keep anybody from hurting you. Trust means that you are saying there's a possibility, and I'm fine with that. We need to stop being afraid of pain. Please. It's tired, it's old. We have capacity. We are supposed to be kings, priests, lords in our own right. We have the capacity to steward pain. The sooner we just like get a grip and say, you know what, it's possible, the better. I'm not saying that pain isn't painful and that sometimes the amount of pain can't. Listen, if you're somebody who's experienced a ton of pain with relationships, I understand. But the truth of the matter is that healing means that you actually try again. If not, you actually just then will be stewarding the wound until you leave this planet. I don't think it's worth it, genuinely. Yeah, it will be painful for a time. Listen, let me say, if there has been 10-20% of pain, there's like 170, 200, 500% of just absolute beauty, and I couldn't have it any other way. Couldn't. But yeah, so I was talking about that. I was like, when people just like marry and then they just like their friends lose them, I'm like, huh? How? I get it, right? I guess that relationship is like a very, very is the most accurate picture of marriage to the Lord. And I guess you really just become involved. You guys become one. Okay, that's my thing. If we now become one, that means me and you are the same person. How can you be my only? There has to be something. You know what I mean? And I think about it. There was a time in my life where I thought Bob was going to be my only friend forever because the standards he was meeting, I didn't know. And then I met my other friends and somehow he was able to compound the beauty and the joy and just the greatness of it. And so I was like, that means that when I get married, that's going to be the same thing. That cannot be my only place of love or solace or like serendipity or euphoria. That's crazy. What? Especially with the friends I have now, I can't. So nobody's allowed to leave. Everybody should respect themselves. Stay where you are. If you're listening to this, respect yourself. Oh, respect yourself. But yeah, friendship. It's beautiful. I love it. Thoughts of the week. Rest too. Hard work is great, but good work is better. Work hard, work good, and leave it there. I've learnt my lesson. I'll never do that again. Well, by your grace. I will never do that again. It was not fun. I bought a pair of shoes recently that's stark yellow and black. And I've been attempting to style it every day. And so far, it's great. I think most of the styling is just getting used to the fact that the shoes are yellow. I think that's most of the styling. Yeah. Also, I love this hair. Can't wait to do more hairstyles. I love it. Except this overstimulates me a little bit. But apart from the little swoop in the front, I love her. She's great. She's a bob. My hair is quite long, so I kind of struggle to do long hairstyles. But she's beautiful. I'm happy. Yes, ma'am. Can't wait. You guys, stay tuned to the Instagram. Stay tuned to the TikTok. The things that are coming. Super excited. Super excited. Very much out of my comfort zone. A little nervous, but mostly excited. I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoy this episode. And I want to hear what you think about friendships. I feel like I rushed myself a little bit because a little bit on a time crunch. A little bit. But yeah, friendships are beautiful. And they're kind of the foundation of many relationships. Every relationship, actually. Everyone. Friendship to God is more powerful than anything. Whether I preach out, friendship, when I tell you the stories I could tell you about my friendship with my father, I am constantly like driving him up a wall. And I feel like I'm driving him up a wall, but I know that he absorbs me quite well. I don't really face him ever. I don't. But I feel like I drive him up a wall. Most recently, we were having a conversation. I was saying to him, Baba, why would you tell me this thing that you're going to do if you're not going to do it now? I would have been fine to wait. I already trusted you. It didn't need to go this way. We were going back and forth. And this man goes to me, what kind of father doesn't give his child hope? And I'm like, I don't know if you're saying that one, so I will stop shouting. I'm angry. And then I said to him, fair enough, right? But hope deferred makes the heart sick, so fix it. That's what I said. Mic drop. Mic drop, man. And then he told me that I wasn't resting. And then I apologized. And he was like, we can continue our conversation now because I know you're not happy. I said, I know. But I don't even want to continue anymore because I just love you. Like, you just make me so, like, happy. Like, he's like a drug for me. I love it. Anywho, I think we're going to end it on that note. I love you guys. Make friendships that are worthwhile. Become a friend that is worthwhile. It's worthwhile to be a pet. See, life has hard places. Just steward them because the person you become in the process. Oh, it's like going to the gym, right? It's not fun. But the body be so tea that like I will keep putting myself through it. I will. The teeness of the body is worth the aching of the muscles. Okay. Toodles. This has been the Seed Podcast. I'm your host, Ol'edo. Have a wonderful day. Keep it stepping. Tell your friends you love them today. Tell them you love them. Tell them you need them. Tell them that if they try to leave, you will write a tell-all about them and put it on the internet. Tell them. Tell them that if they try to leave, you will frame them for something. I'm joking. A little. Okay. Mwah. Okay, I'm going to say a couple more things. Shout out to Esther, my girl. Her room is beautiful. She's a Marvel fan, of course, as you can see. There's more stuff everywhere. I love this room. She ate. Love you, girl. Thank you. Today's episode was brought to you by Esther's Room.
She steps out, walks with grace with her chest out.